Hello, and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen and Karen's Library with a trigger warning as it contains abortion research to go into an abortion research playlist.
There is a horrifying video making the rounds on social media this week that's surfaced from a 2015 undercover investigation by a citizen journalist named David Daleiden inside of Planned Parenthood. This is really difficult to watch, but it is wildly important because this video actually uncovers evidence that Planned Parenthood, as the nation's largest abortion provider, often engages in the illegal trafficking of aborted baby body parts. No, I'm not making this up. And yes, it is very, very difficult to talk about. But why this video and why now? It's gaining traction because, of all people, Kamala Harris was directly responsible for suppressing this video from getting out to the public in her role as Attorney General of the state of California. It speaks volumes about what the current presidential nominee for President of the United States for the Democrat Party really thinks about women in crisis pregnancies, and in particular, the children that are being killed on the altar of the abortion industry. I don't often have to say trigger warning for any of these subjects, and I know we make fun of that topic quite a bit, but if you have a hard time talking about these subjects, just be forewarned, this is a very difficult one to watch. So, as you can read on the screen, I'm already crying. This is going to be a really hard one. This was an undercover investigation from 2015 into Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast in particular, which was the biggest abortion clinic in Houston, Texas, and even the biggest abortion clinic in the entire Western Hemisphere. And David Daleiden, the citizen journalist, decides to go undercover and befriend all of the people who are working at Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast to expose the fact that they are, in fact, involved in the trafficking, illegal sale on the black market of body parts of the children that they were killing during abortion procedures. This clinic aborted babies up to 6 months old and sold them for experiments until the Supreme Court's ruling in Dobbs v. Jackson, which essentially overturned Roe v. Wade, and it ended the radical leftist abortion practice in Texas upon kicking in Texas's automatic new abortion law in 2022, which, by the way, has saved tens of thousands of lives per year, thanks to Texas's very, very powerful law that's so beautiful and setting the standard for states nationwide. This person, who is featured in the video numerous times, Tran Nguyen, was the vice president of abortion access at Planned Parenthood in Houston. And Dr. Ann Shute was the chief medical officer for Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast. As you can read on the screen, she was instrumental in connecting NIH-funded professors, so government-funded research labs, at Baylor with Planned Parenthood specifically to purchase aborted fetuses. I have to say that again because I cannot underscore how disgusting this is and how much the government is trying to cover it up. This person, who was the chief medical officer, a physician working at Planned Parenthood Houston, worked under the table with scientists at Baylor University in NIH, National Institute of Health, funded labs, government-funded laboratories, for the purchase of illegally trafficked human body parts of aborted babies from their clinic. my gosh. They are bragging about being physicians who stretch the limit to kill children 6 months in the womb, 24 weeks, entirely viable should they have been born via early labor, so that they can give you better developed organs on the black market. How anyone could be okay with this,
And I'm so sorry. Met the other provider that goes up to 24 weeks, which is Anitra Beasley.
Okay.
And Anna's the other provider that goes up to 24 weeks as well. So if you want more intact ones, she's the one you kind of need to talk to.
You're the one to see, huh?
I had a patient
Yeah, like,
sometime in the past few months who, I don't remember what it was. She wanted footprints, and I had a resident with me that day, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this procedure because I'm gonna try and do my best to get these feet out in check.
Right.
we did footprints and handprints, baby.
Dude, you guys are awesome. Well done.
you will never, ever hear Planned Parenthood admit out loud that the children that they are aborting are so developed that they have hands and feet, that they can print handprints and footprints of your child on a piece of paper as an abortion souvenir, an abortion memento. Nope, they're just clumps of cells. Never will you see that covered in the media.
Yeah. But they need like the liver mostly and the
Right now, we're getting a lot for liver and thymus. Liver is in short demand. Dude, like, there's people right now, most of the people, like ABRs, some of our competitors, they're not even selling the tissue. They're like, oh, we'll give you an isolation. And we're like, well, why can't I get it? They're like, well, because it's in short demand right now, it's more profitable for us to isolate it and sell you the vials rather than give you the entire tissue. And I'm just like, are you serious?
It's funny because ever since, I think I remember it was like 6 months or a year ago you told me about the proposition. And so now every time I do a DNA, I'm like, oh, there's some lung.
Yeah, you already know, huh?
Like, I can, like, I'm like, because
we can do this. I'm telling you.
Down. No, I'm excited.
You told me about the proposition. And so now every time I do a DNA, I'm like, oh, there's some lung.
Yeah, you already know, huh?
I was like, where?
How are people so nonchalant about this? This will obviously and forever be the biggest question I have about working in the abortion industry, because I can completely understand why a woman who doesn't know any better, maybe who's even had an abortion herself and been on the table, can go march and rah, rah, rah in a women's rights protest for reproductive rights that literally save women's lives when you don't know what an abortion is. And I include women who've obtained abortions in that, because when you show up to a Planned Parenthood, they don't show you the ultrasound of your child. That's actually against their policy. They specifically use terms like clump of cells to make you think that that's not a real human being inside of your womb. They send you home with a pill in a paper bag telling you this is going to feel like a heavy period. Or they drug you just enough during your surgical abortion that you're so out of it you don't even have memory of what happened. But how can you be an abortion provider, a physician or a nurse or someone running one of these clinics, and watch these procedures happen as a doctor? This woman is a board certified physician, and laugh when you are ripping a child's body limb from limb and say, here's a liver I can sell on the black market. Here's a kidney I can sell on the black market. The complete lack of humanity. I mean, clearly it's Satan, it's demonic activity. It's the only way we've ever been able to dehumanize people to that degree. But I could never, ever understand this type of nonchalance from doctors.
I was like, where's my guy who can play with the tissue? I was like, because they're like trying to sort it, and I was like, I'm like picking up some more.
It desensitizes you. It seems morbid, she says, but this desensitizes you.
You know, they're like, well, can you show us a sample from today? And I was like, this was a really bad day for us. And
I
it was
remember
only
you
one
mentioned that
sample.
there was one that day.
And it was like one bad sample. It was like a 16-year-old kid.
Please go on.
It was like a 16-year-old kid, so we just had to hurry up. Whereas like other days, it's like more intact, where it's like maybe only like an arm that's
I would imagine
desensitized. Other days, it's like more intact, where it's like maybe only like an arm that's
I would imagine
desensitized.
most weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, anywhere
That's
between
what I
5 and
told
10 samples a week.
Most weeks, Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast said in this undercover investigation, most weeks, and really just the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will obtain 5 to 10 human beings, samples, to sell your lab to your lab on the black market every week. And that's the children that are still intact enough to sell their organs, that aren't completely dismembered. Do the math on 52 weeks a year.
I mean, just between Thursday and Friday, Saturday, typical.
And that's what I was telling you. Like, we like 30 to 50 is like a good number for the month. Like, easy.
Easy. Okay.
Like,
50 children per month. That's 600 babies per year. Easy. Baseline. Minimum.
Wow.
See?
No, that's phenomenal. I mean, you're going to be busy.
but he's the one that likes to play with Pocket. I was like, where?
You put them with Glenda.
I know. I was like, no, Linda was the one that who took out the tissue for, and we were all like, there, like, well, here's like the lung, here's the kidneys, and I was like, but where's? He's like the one that does like all of this. We had 17-week twins in the freezer because we're waiting for funeral home to pick them up.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, I'm sorry, you can't see them. They were like the most intact because it was a fetal anomaly. The conjoined twins. I was like, I'm sorry, we put formalin in there, so it's all like dark white. And it's not clear. It's not like something you can see. And he goes, oh, but I was like, but it's really cool though. There's like 3 legs and like 2 spinal cords and
I'd be
like.
down to see that. That would be pretty cool to like.
But like it was different because I was like, I know you're not the tissue guy, so it's not the same as when you're like, hey, look. We're a little bit different than other providers.
Different is good. I hate mainstream. It just seems so disingenuous. It's just like, why am I listening?
And I'm like, yeah, I have like a leg for you. I'm like, oh shit. If other people were to hear me, they'd be like, you are fucking evil.
If other people hear me say that, they would say you are effing evil. Yeah. So at least they're self-aware.
Like 6 months or a year ago, you told me about the proposition. And so now every time I do a DNA, I'm like, oh, there's some lung.
Yeah, you already know.
Other days it's like more intact where it's like maybe only like an arm that's
I would imagine
disembodied. I'm like, yeah, I have like a leg for you. I'm like, oh shit. If other people were to hear me, they'd be like, you are evil.
So this investigation happened in 2015, as I mentioned, with this group called the Center for Medical Progress. And unfortunately, it's been almost 10 years since this video has been allowed to surface up till now because, shockingly, Kamala Harris was directly responsible for suppressing it in her role as Attorney General of California. After David Daleiden, this undercover journalist, captured all of this footage so courageously, I might add, I don't know how I would be able to sit through those conversations and not like punch someone in the face. So kudos to undercover journalists. I wear my emotions much more on my sleeve. But after he captured this footage and they started publishing all of this information to the general public, Planned Parenthood, working with Kamala Harris, the AG of California, filed a complaint against David specifically, and an injunction was obtained in court. That specific injunction prevented the release of this footage until this year, 2024, when a court has finally ruled that this suppressed footage can finally be published. David Daleiden, the journalist who captured this footage to begin with, is still, to this day, facing 8 felony charges. 8, simply because Kamala Harris didn't want him to expose the reality of trafficking body parts of murdered children by Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast in Houston. If you think that this is just isolated to one Planned Parenthood facility, think again. There have been numerous investigations into Planned Parenthood as an entity specifically for this exact situation, for NIH government-funded labs using your taxpayer dollars to illegally purchase body parts and tissue of children dismembered in the womb for research purposes. And Baylor is not the only university that has been known to purchase this type of black market transaction. The University of Pittsburgh has been thoroughly investigated within the last year for purchasing fetal tissue and still receives state and federal funding. And despite everything you might hear on social media or from your favorite celebrity or, I don't know, presidential candidate, Planned Parenthood's own statistics still tell us from their 2023 annual report just last year that only 2.9% of their pregnancy resolution services included actual health care.
Bye.